Good morning. Sorry I didn't give you the whole serious cereal and aliver intro, but it's St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend. I've had enough happen to me today that I actually think it should be Wednesday. Nothing bad. Just weird. I've just had annoying stuff happen today. I don't Hey, Flash fan. I don't know that I'm getting fancy, but I do have the only green shirt that I own on for St. Patrick's Day. Has a little kitty cat on it. I don't know. I don't have anything against green. I just don't own it. Whatever. I hope you all had a great weekend. If you celebrated, I hope you celebrated safely and didn't regret it later, like the next morning. You have a green hat? Nice. All right, so I did start a little bit early, so that probably threw some people off. I actually intended to start at 11, but whatever. The powers that be were working against me on that, so 11:30 it is. And that's just the way it goes. It's an old church hat. Okay. I'm probably going to have to see a picture of this Flash fan. Not just of the hat, but you wearing the hat. Let's be clear. Because that would be awesome. A green hat. Nice. So the reason I started a little bit early, and I'll probably start early, I will probably try to really start at 11 on Wednesday, is because I'm trying to get the state's case wrapped up here so we can get this trial wrapped up. I have another one that I want to do, and I will need to get this one finished up. So we have today we've got quite a few witnesses. The first one that we're going to watch has the same first name as Aileen Wuornos, and it's actually spelled the same, which is not, to me, is not common. So I thought that was just really strange, for lack of a better word. So Aileen Berry is going to testify at Aileen Wuornos' trial, and she is the fiancée of alleged victim. I can't remember his name. It's in my description, and good for me. That's just the kind of morning it's been. Troy Burress. Gee whiz. I don't believe there's any relation. And I do think that this is outside the presence of the jury. I'm not sure why. These other unalivings that Aileen confessed to, that her defense team tried to keep out, but they failed. It's been a weird kind of testimony. There's been a lot outside the presence of the jury. There has still been a lot of bickering back and forth when these people do testify. I mean, she confessed. Now, I'm not saying just because you walk in and you confess to something that they should just take your word for it. They don't do that typically. They still have to prove that what you're saying is true, that you actually did the crime. I think she had a lot of detail. So after Aileen Berry, then the Ward, I think his last name is Schwob, he comes back on. He is the crime lab analyst. Then we get James, I like his last name, Dallarosa. He apparently had an encounter. Do you suppose that with Aileen Wuornos back in 1989? And then we hear from Jean Immesberger, a friend of Peter Seims. Peter Seims, if you remember him, we heard from his son on Friday, and I believe he's the one victim who was never found. Found his car, found some items of his, just never found him, which makes me really sad for the family because that would just be super hard to go through and your entire life not knowing, not being able to put your family member to rest, and you never know where they are. So to me, if it was me, I would always hold out hope that they were out there somewhere, even though obviously they're not. But uh so that's what we've got going on today. It's probably about 2 hours worth of testimony, and then Wednesday our famous investigator is back, Mr. Horzepa, and he's long. He's a long witness. I believe he is the last witness for the state before they rest. And Friday, I am not sure. I got to talk to a couple people, and I have to see if it's actually going to happen. I think it's going to happen, but I have to see if if cameras are going to be allowed into the Menendez, if the Menendez brothers should get a retrial or not. And if I haven't kept up with it a lot, I do know that I believe he's the new DA, came out and said he does not think they deserve to get a new trial or new sentencing or whatever it is. So I don't know what's going to happen in that. It's also California, so it's 3-hour time difference between me and them. And so I have to talk to a few people to see how we can maybe divide up things and get things covered. So I will be doing that this week. If that is not going to be shown, and if we cannot make something work, then we will continue on with this case and we will hear from Aileen herself. And I am looking forward to her testimony, mostly her cross-examination. So I'm hoping to get there by Friday. If we do the Menendez hearing instead on Friday, then obviously we will get to hers on Monday. That's the plan. I generally don't put stuff out there because, I said I wanted to keep these streams below under 2 hours. We had a 3-hour stream last week. What's up, Gabby? How you doing? How was your weekend? Flashman, I don't know, because as you and I had chatted about possibly doing the Menendez trial before their hearing, it would take a long, long time to cover. So I don't know. I'll have to look. We'll see how this hearing goes and then see if that's something we think we should do or not. I think that'll give us a little bit of guidance to see if we want to take that, or if I want to take that on. It's a long trial. This one's been a long trial. Because I planned on doing some night streams with this, and it just has not worked out where I have been able to do that. So, yeah, it's long. Good morning, Puddletown. Menendez sounds like a disease. I got Menendez this weekend. Oh, Puddletown. I don't think you want that one. That's just me though. I don't want Menendez disease. No thanks. 6 months. If it was 6 months in regular time, that'll be a year in my time. Oh man. Ugh, I don't know. I don't know. That's a long time. Yikes. All right. My little leprechaun dude was at the bottom of the page when I made it, but now he's floating. If I would have known he was going to float, I would have put a different one there. But that's just the way it goes. I almost left the studio. Whoopsies. Maybe we could just do those instead. But even 6 months of trial transcripts, holy smokes. That'd be a lot. Because yeah, that'd be a lot. We'll have to talk about it, Flashby, and see what we're gonna do. If anything. Or maybe you can cover it on in your court watch. Yeah, very long. All right, let's get going with this. Again, we will have Aileen Berry, no relation, same spelling as to Aileen Wuornos. She's going to testify. She is the fiancée of alleged victim of Aileen Wuornos, Troy Burress, and I believe this outside the presence of the jury. So here we go. Oh, and also let me know how the sound is.
Good morning, ma'am. Would you please tell us your full name and introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
I'm Aileen Berry.
And Ms. Berry, where do you live? What city?
I live in Cocoa, Florida.
And did you know a Walter Gino Antonio?
I did
And how long did you know Mr. Antonio?
since the first part of 1963.
And did you and Mr. Antonio share a relationship?
Yes, we did.
Can you describe that to the jury?
We were friends.
Objection, Your Honor, stipulated that she knows Mr. Antonio.
Second objection.
Can you tell us, ma'am, the last day that you saw Walter Gino Antonio alive?
November the 18th, 1990.
Ma'am, and can you tell us if you know where that was when you last saw Mr. Antonio?
Yes, it was at his trailer on Clear Lake Road in Cocoa.
Do you know if Mr. Antonio was employed at that time when you knew him?
Yes,
What was he doing for a living?
security
Objection,
guard.
relevancy, Your Honor.
Established relative.
Object overruled.
Work as a security guard?
Yes,
And do you know whether Mr. Antonio is continuing on that profession as of that date, or had he made any other plans?
he had made other plans.
Okay, can you describe those plans to the jury?
He was on his way to Birmingham. He was leaving to go to Birmingham to pick up a truck. He was going back to driving a long distance truck. As long as truck driver.
And did he have plans on a long-term basis for becoming a truck driver?
Yes, he did.
And how about his job with the security company? Had he made any arrangements there?
He had given a 2 weeks notice.
Good morning, Christine. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy Monday. Thanks for being here.
Now, can you tell us when you last saw him on November the 18th? He was on his way on his trip to Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
You know whether or not he had any money on him?
Yes, sir.
You know how much money he had?
Approximately $140.
Would you describe your relationship with Mr. Antonio as a close relationship?
Objection, Your
Yes.
Honor.
It's the same.
Were you familiar with various personal property that he owned?
Yes, I was.
Did you discuss how much money he was taking with him on his trip?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, if I may approach you on?
Yes, sir.
You indicated that you had known Mr. Antonio since 1963, is that correct?
Correct?
During the course of your relationship with him, did you have occasion ever to purchase any personal property for him,
Yes,
such as jewelry, things of that nature?
yes, I did.
Ma'am, let me show you what has been introduced in evidence that states 102 described as Mr. Antonio's ring. Let me ask you if you can identify this ring, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I bought that for him.
Do you remember where you bought it from?
Yes, sir. Service merchandise in Melbourne, Florida.
And whose ring was this that identified as states 102?
Whose ring?
Yes, ma'am. Whose
That's
ring?
Gino Antonio.
Objection overruled.
She had it wrong. Now, ma'am, were you familiar with any of the tools and equipment Mr. Antonio would keep in his car?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you, ma'am, what has been marked as states 5D, as in David for identification. Ask you if you can recognize this container and/or any of the contents therein.
That was a little box that he kept in the back of his car with tools in it. And his tools were, most of them was Craftsman.
Feel free to look through that if you think it's. Ma'am, are the tools you're looking at Craftsman tools?
Yes, they are.
You have your hand on some screwdrivers.
Yes, sir.
That look like a toolbox.
Those look like the toolbox and the tools that he kept in the back of his car.
You describe a green plastic toolbox with miscellaneous tools from Craftsman. Now, ma'am, do you know if Mr. Antonio had ever been employed as an automobile or a truck mechanic?
He was not a mechanic, so-called. He was a truck driver, but he did work on his car, his truck and things like that.
Ma'am, let me show you what is in Martha's state.
Okay, I'm confused. In the description, it says that she is the fiance of Troy Burress. I haven't heard his name one time. I keep hearing Antonio. And okay, I have no idea. Gabby, when you said what's a fishing box, I was going to say a tackle box, but you're right. They said toolbox. And yes, if Carmen was here, she would be screaming, gloves, 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 gloves. Put some gloves on. Troy Burress is an alleged victim. Yeah, but they asked how long she's known him, and she said since 1963. Wow, that would be a weird way to ask if he was someone's mom. Flashman is the 1997 case you're talking about in Massachusetts, the nanny case. I can't think of her name. I can see her, but I can't think of her name because she was not from here. She was from across the pond. I can't. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Louise Woodward. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, I remember that case. Yes, pretty much. Like, did you give birth to this person when? Oh, about 1963. But I don't know. I think it could be his mother. That would be a weird way to ask how long you've known someone. I've known Carmen. Well, let's see. She was born in 95, but she started making me feel sick to my stomach in 1994. And making it so I couldn't eat. How about that? Is that how long I've known her? Like, I don't know. I know Carmen's up. She just responded to a text message, and she should. I think she has to work tonight, though.
Judge of the Police Department open packet, case 5B for identification. Let me ask you, ma'am, if you can recognize this item.
Yes, sir, that's his.
How are you able to recognize what you're holding in your hand is a box end wrench?
It says Cadillac Gauge on it. He was a security guard out there, and he owned 3 wrenches that had Cadillac Gauge on them, just like in different sizes as this.
That was Mr. Antonio's also.
It was.
Did Mr. Antonio have any type of shaving device?
Yes, sir, I bought him electric razor, rechargeable electric Remington razor.
Do you know anything that was he able to use that electric razor?
Objection, Your Honor.
That was relevant, Your Honor. Go ahead.
Yes, he was, until he broke some, or damaged some, I call them little teeth that was in it.
Like the head of the electric razor?
The head of the electric razor.
And let me show you what has been previously marked for identification purposes. Ask you to examine it as states 5C for identification. And please be careful, it does have fingerprint powder on it. me ask you if you can recognize that razor.
Can I see the heads?
Yes, ma'am, go right ahead and you handle it.
Yes, sir.
How are you able to identify that as Mr. Antonio's razor?
Those little things there, and this is the one that I bought him.
This is the razor you bought him with, that you described with the broken heads on the top?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness is identifying the razor that is described and states 5 B's for identification. 5 C's, excuse me, Your Honor.
See.
Does Mr. Antonio possess any type of flashlights or lighting equipment that he took with him on that trip on the 18th?
Yes, sir, he had several flashlights, and he usually kept several in the car.
Man, let me show you what the marked identification purposes that states 6 H's. And I'm going to ask you to open that. Let me give you a scissor. I'm going to ask you if you can recognize that containing states 6 H's for identification.
Yes, sir, this is the box that a flashlight came in that my daughter gave Gino.
Walter Antonio was also known as Gino, wasn't he?
Yes, we call him Gino, his middle name.
Let me show you, man, what the mark that states 5A for identification. And in reference to what has been described by you, it states 5H. Can you tell me, and be careful about the pouch, can you recognize what's contained in states 5H for identification?
That's flashlight.
That was Mr. Antonio's flashlight. Now, ma'am, what has been contained in states 5H, the box, can you tell me who you gave this to?
My daughter gave it to, my daughter gave it to Gino. The flashlight was in it. There's her initials.
Okay. And you gave that to Detective Pinner to show him
Yes, I
some of the
did.
articles that might be
Yes,
missing
I
from
did.
his car? Think you would recognize Mr. Antonio's car if you saw it again?
Yes, I would.
And let me show you what has been introduced in evidence of states 98 and identified as his automobile. Do you recognize it as Mr. Antonio's car?
Yes, I do.
When Mr. Antonio left you on the morning of November the 18th, 1990, did he have a license tag affixed to that car?
Yes, he did.
Do you recall whether or not he had any type of bumper stickers or other identification affixed to the bumpers or other areas of the car?
He had a support your sheriff's department sticker.
Support your sheriff's department sticker. Do you see that on any of those photographs?
Can you speak a little louder, ma'am?
All right.
Ma'am, I want to make sure the juror at the end can hear. What type of bumper sticker was it that he had on his car when he left you on November the 18th, 1990?
Objection, Your Honor.
The only one I remember being on it was a sticker that said, support your sheriff's department.
Thank you. And let me show you a photograph which has previously been introduced in evidence and identified as that of Walter Antonio. Is that the gentleman we're talking about who was the owner of all this property before you in the automobile?
That's Walter Gino Antonio.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I have no further questions.
Counsel, you may inquire.
Ma'am, thank you for coming. No further.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer each of the items previously marked as exhibits as state's evidence, and that's to be published to the jury.
Counsel, the only one objection.
And predicate objections, Your Honor. There has not been testimony as to many of the items, how they got here to court.
Let the item be received and marked down by the.
Your Honor, may Mrs. Berry be excused?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much. Agent Schwob, the record reflects that Agent Schwob has previously been sworn as a witness in testimony.
Morning, Adair. It's not a Monday or a marvelous Monday for me. It's quite just annoying. If I can just say that. I just had a lot of little annoying things happen to me today. I know, Flash fan. I got it. I got it. But Trust me, if the whole system goes down today, it will be par for the course of how it's going so far. It'll be all right, though. It'll be okay. So that apparently was the mother of that victim. I was going to wonder how I was going to cross-examine her. He did not, which was smart, in my opinion, as a non-attorney. So I don't know where Aileen Berry comes in at. So I don't know. I'm just going by the description. If we heard from him, it would be from beyond the grave, I believe. we would need like Ghost Adventures here to hear from him. A spirit box, EVP session, whatever they do. Make stuff up. I don't know. Because I think he is. Oh no. No, I don't think that. No. We hear from a man, apparently, I don't know where, who had an encounter with her. And he did survive. Yes, Zach Baggins. I think, I don't want to get too far off track here, but I don't know if you've heard that Aaron Goodwin's wife tried to hire a hitman to unalive him. And the hitman that the person she was trying to use to hire the hitman is already in prison in Florida, I believe in Florida, because that's where everybody goes. And I remember his trial, he unalived, I believe, his parents. And I can't remember if there was a brother. I know one brother was not there, so he's alive. Because he thought this online Russian model really, really, really wanted to be his girlfriend in real life. And he spent tens of thousands of dollars on her, sending her money. And his parents, and he had a good job. He was a nurse, like he was an RN. He was doing fine until this woman came into his life. What year was the trial? It's been recent, Flash Fan. It's been in the last, I'm going to say 10 years, but I don't know. It may be more recent than that. Hey, Kelly. How are you doing? Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. But so Aaron Goodwin's wife, had been corresponding with this guy, Grant Amato, I think is his name, something along that lines. She sends him apparently sends him a cell phone. So he's got contraband. And he has found someone to do the job, and she allegedly wants the hit to take place when Aaron is in I forget where they were. They were out of not where they live. I think they live in Arizona, and he was somewhere else filming for Ghost Adventures. So she wanted it to take place while they were out there so that he wasn't, she's got an alibi. And the amount was a very, generally be like, okay, I'll give you $10,000. Go do it, whatever. It was like $11,515 and like 50 cents. I mean, it was so weird. And there's text messages, I think, between this Grant, whatever his name is. I don't think Amato. That sounds like something else, but it's something along that line. Between him and I think the person who allegedly he was hired to do the job, is it done? Obviously, it's not done. He's still alive. I don't know how it was all found out. I don't know what this guy thought he was going to get, because he unalived his mom and dad, at least, if not his brother, one of his brothers. He's in jail forever. And so it's not like he was going to get any time off. It's done. But yeah, that whole situation is so weird. And they just got married in 2022. Like, it's so sad because he looks so happy. I don't know what happened to her. Yeah. But anyway, sorry to sidetrack. It's just I heard all that this weekend, and I was like, this is so crazy. But at least she was not successful. Anyway, back to 1992. Shall we?
5 year in court. Agent Schwob, I'd like to show you a number of items that have been introduced in evidence. Clear up any question as to where they were obtained. I'm going to ask you if you could tell me
Objection
as to where each of those items were obtained. I ask you if you can identify the green plastic container with the tools introduced. But if we get him on, I'll get him on.
I think she's lucky that there's a cop sitting in front of her because she looks like she wants to go over there and hurt her. Allegedly.
Jury, I'm going to introduce them for the purpose of the record, Your Honor, with their numbers. Agent Schwob, state 104 was
Your Honor, we have the running objection again. I just bring it up every once in a while to remind the record.
State 104, which has been previously identified as the property of Gino Antonio, a multi-purpose lantern. Do you recognize that item, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
States 105, the green plastic toolbox with miscellaneous tools. Do you recognize that item, sir? Identified as the property of Walter Gino Antonio.
Objection to the comment, Your Honor.
The evidence will say. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I recognize this.
What has been introduced as states 106 in evidence, a man's electric razor with broken teeth. Do you recognize it? And carrying case.
Yes, sir, I do.
So what has been introduced as states 107 in evidence, what I would describe as a box end wrench, the Markham's Cadillac gauge on it. Recognize those items.
Yes, sir, I do.
Can you tell me where states 104, the lantern, states 105, the plastic toolbox with tools, states 106, the man's razor with missing teeth, and states 107 were located by you and when and where?
They were taken from storage locker number 43G at Jack's Mini Warehouse, which was located at 1104 North Nova Road, and they were collected on the 14th of January, 1991.
That is the same storage location that you testified to previously before
That's correct.
pursuant to the search warrant.
That's correct.
Sir, let me show you what has been marked and placed in evidence as states 92 in evidence, states 89 in evidence. For the record, photograph of a yellow flashlight, plastic, states 92, a GE mini radio and stereo cassette. States 91, a man's tote bag, brown in color, and states 90, a pair of hair cutting scissors in an orange and plastic container. I'll also show you what has been marked and previously introduced in evidence of states 93 in evidence. I'll show you also some of the marked as states 94 in evidence. Let me slow down and let you catch up to me also.
Yes, sir, I recognize all these items.
Let me show you so what has been marked and placed in evidence of states 95 in evidence. Do you recognize this object? Let me show you the marking, sir, and the bag.
I thought many of these, a lot of this testimony sounds familiar. I would object on the basis of it being asked and answered.
Well, the council has objected that these items are not established for the proper predicate. I'm now doing so.
Not all of them.
Well, I think those numbers are evidence, as said,
Please, Your Honor, counsel specifically objected to states 95, claiming that no predicate been laid by this witness. Each and every item that I've just named to you, sir, starting back with states 95, the blue and brown suitcase. States 94, the bluish colored duffel bag. States 92, the cassette radio GE model. States 93, the man's windbreaker, brown in color with plaid insert. States 91, the man's tote bag, brown in color. States 90, pair of hair cutting scissors, and states 89 in evidence, the yellow flashlight. Where were each and every one of these items recovered and on what date?
From within storage unit number 43G at Jack's Mini Warehouse, They were recovered on the 14th of January 1991.
Pursuant to the search warrant you previously testified to?
That's correct.
So let me show you what has been previously introduced in evidence. It states 82 in evidence, described as a Mexican-type blanket. Do you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Where did you obtain this and when?
Again, from Jack's Mini Warehouse, number 43G, on the 14th of January 1991.
Good morning, Sir Frank Otter. Hope you're doing well. Red parts of your states is gonna get a blizzard, but I don't think it's by you. I think it's down by Grand Island. So hope you're not getting that. Time for spring. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and I hope you had a great weekend. And yes, Merry Christmas.
Lastly, what has been described and marked in evidence, it states 75 in evidence. Man's briefcase, or a briefcase. Do you recognize this item, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
Where did you obtain this item?
Again, from number 43G of Jack's Mini Warehouse.
And were you able to open this item in open court, sir, using a various series of numbers?
That's correct.
Do you recall?
I think we did. I wrote a series of numbers.
State 75 in evidence, the briefcase you're describing was once again found in the same mini warehouse with all the remaining items
That's
for
correct.
the jury, all placed in evidence.
That's correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions of this witness.
Yes, sir. I just have a moment to look at some things here, Your Honor. Let me ask you to take a look at what's been previously marked as Exhibit 3H. And let me ask if you can tell us where did that come from?
Well, why don't we get into the wrapping so we can identify?
Sure, I'm sorry. Here's the wrapping.
And why don't we ask him if he is the one who receives that item?
I thought we did that already.
Oh, Dill, you're so funny. She sent me a text asking me for a recipe, and then it's like, can you send it during your stream? No, I cannot. You have to wait. And it's not for bacon cheeseburgers. Well, I hope you don't get that. Our weather here has been bipolar. It's fine. I'm not complaining. It's like a teenager. The mood is up and down. And that's what spring is. And that's okay with me, because that means summer's coming and nice weather. Flash fan would agree, Dill, but I can't. No. It is for a breakfast casserole that I actually just made it this past weekend. So she wants the recipe, but I have the actual recipe written down, but I have, changed it a little bit. So I need to send her mine, not the one I have written down. Or I can send her the one I have written down and she can do whatever she wants to it, like I did. That's very easy, and it's super nice for breakfast because we can eat it both days of the weekend and you don't have to worry about it. Make it the night before and cook it the day of and warm it back up in the oven the next day, and it's still great. It is not a secret recipe. No tater tots. No, it has hash browns, but not hash patties. I know I live in the Midwest and I've never made tater tot casserole. I don't even know that I've ever had tater tot casserole, so maybe I'm really not from the Midwest. I don't know. I don't know. I looked at a tater tot casserole recipe last night and I thought, nah, I don't know. There's too much going on there. I know. There's a lot going. It was like a cowboy tater tot recipe casserole thingy, and there was just a lot of things happening in it that I thought, I don't know about that. Oh, I have had cornbread. Of course I've had cornbread. That was the first thing I had to learn how to make in home ec class when I was in 8th grade. Mrs. Novak. I'm sure RIP, because she was older then. Okay. Also, is this not the weirdest way to put evidence out there? I have never seen a the first witness that we saw. They handed her an evidence bag that was taped with that red tape and had her open it. I've never seen that nowadays. It's, you know, it's always the evidence people that open it. And then the other person who's related to that person, the victim, whatever, might identify it later, but I've never seen them actually open the packages of evidence. That was weird. And then this is just like thrown in a box haphazardly, just here, what's this? What's that? Well, if you remember, I don't know why they objected to it, because he got it in what we watched on Friday. He opened the briefcase with the victim's social security number. So it's already there. I don't know what the problem was. They just, I guess, needed to object. We don't live in the Midwest anymore. Indiana, to me, Adair, is on the verge of not being Midwest. My home state of Nebraska is like, you're right, dead center. Midwest. Well, some people eat pork, Flash fan. You make our simple hamburger, cream and mushroom, green beans, cheese, tater tots. Well, I'll have to try that one maybe, because this cowboy thing had... You weren't making it on the range. That's all. I'll just say that. Too much stuff. All right, back to him and this weird evidence presentation and a lot of paper.
Sir, I have no idea where this came from.
No idea at all. It did not come from Jack's Mini Warehouse, however, did it?
No, sir.
It was not in 43J, was it?
No, sir.
Whatever contents may be in there, those also would not have come from 43J of Jack's Mini Warehouse, correct?
To my knowledge, that's correct.
Sorry. Hello, Taya. How are you? Good to see you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Monday. And I hope you had a great weekend. I'm not sure what's going on with this evidence. I don't know. It's so weird. It's just like they're moving.
Do you know any combination that would open that suitcase?
No, sir, I do not.
Did you speak to any officer with regard to where that suitcase came from?
No, sir, I did not.
We also spoke yesterday, I think you testified yesterday, correct?
That's correct.
We spoke a little bit about some of the other items that you found in 43J of Jack's Mini Warehouse. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Recall testifying there's a whole lot of stuff in there, a lot of personal items.
That's correct.
Do you recall finding a license or registration tag bearing the name Tyria Moore at Jack's Mini Warehouse?
Could you be more specific to what you mean by licensed or registration tag?
Did you find any documents bearing the name Tyree Moore at Jack's Mini Warehouse?
Yes, I did.
And we testified yesterday regarding the report you prepared in this case. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the combination that Mr. Demore asked you to employ on the little small suitcase there?
Right offhand, I do not.
You would not know if that combination opens the large suitcase as well, would you?
Counsel, can I help you with number
Sure.
365-329, Mr. Humphrey's Social Security was
Objection, motion for mistrial, Your Honor. Try that combination on that suitcase, sir.
You mean the one that's already set here? 365, 329?
And that's what it's set to, isn't it?
Yes.
And yesterday you testified regarding your report in this case.
That's correct.
And the first name listed in the report under reference is Tyree Moore, correct?
That's correct.
And that was January 29th, 1991. Yes, 1990.
That's correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Schwob, you know Tyree Moore was a suspect at one time in the case, wasn't he?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you, sir. Nothing further.
Do you know if Tyree Moore is a suspect today? You personally?
I do not know.
For all you know, she should be a suspect today, correct?
I do not know.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nominated to speak to you, sir. Ms. Benzown,
Would you state your name, please, your profession, and tell this jury your educational and experience background?
My name is Margarita, spelled Margarita. Last name Arruza, Arruza. I'm a physician. I'm a pathologist. Actually, I'm an associate medical examiner right now in Jacksonville.
Your Honor, may I pose one preliminary question?
you may.
Doctor, you don't need all this stuff here for your testimony, do you?
No.
Your Honor, why don't we get this stuff out of the way so that we can concentrate on the document? Would you like me to do it?
You're asking.
I do not care, but. Your Honor, why not do it?
Your Honor, permit me to sit.
Yes, sir, you can help too,
My dear, please don't do that. What's up, Zach? How you doing? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Margarita, she does look like a fun in a glass. Oh. Suitcases give you nightmares with people like Sarah Boone and Mellie McGuire. That defense attorney, one, got a mistrial for the day. At least one. And two, he does not like the evidence just sitting out there. But I like how the judge is like, you want to move? Get out here and move it. I do not know how many Girl Scout cookies Margarita had to sell for her outfit. I do not know. Maybe she'll tell us.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Tanner.
Indeed.
So I keep on going?
Judge, yes.
Yes, sir.
I apologize, Dr. Russo. I asked you your educational and experience background, what's your current profession is.
I went to medical school at the University of Madrid's Faculty of Medicine in Madrid, Spain. Then I came to the United States. I did a training in anatomical and clinical pathology at the University of Illinois Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. That is for 4 years. Then I did a subspecialty training in forensic pathology at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office in Chicago, Illinois. I'm board certified in anatomical and clinical pathology and also in forensic pathology. I came to Jacksonville 2.5 years ago, and I've been associate medical examiner since.
Your Honor, we would tender Dr. Rose as a forensic pathologist and expert in her field.
You may inquire.
No questions, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Rose, did you have occasion to perform an autopsy on a man whose identity you learned to be Walter Gino Antonio?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, please, when and where that autopsy took place, your observations and conclusions with regard to any trauma you may have observed?
I performed the autopsy on the 20th of November of 1990. The body was that of a white male, and going specifically for injuries, he had 4 gunshot wounds.
May I slow you down just for a moment? You say a white male, of what species?
What do you mean, what
Well, is he a
species?
human being?
Oh, a human white male.
I know that.
What species? I loved her. Like, what? She's cute. I like her. I wonder what she looks like today. I know, right? What species? Like- Yes. Hello, Jess. How are you? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, he just asked her what species the guy was. Oh my goodness. She's too cute. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, he's part porcupine. As do a lot of you men, Zach. As do a lot of you. I can tell you, if anything happens to me, that would probably be my husband's next choice. I'm good, Jess. I'm just trying that was hilarious. Ah, no. No furries. No furries. Uh-uh. Yep. Yep. I'm just trying to stay on track. I saw a video on Twitter this morning of a woman cleaning out her human litter box. I was like, what am I watching? And why am I watching it? And she did all sorts of things with it. It was weird. I am not being a boomer because I am not a boomer. You heard what I said. It was a human litter box. I guess for her. Yeah, it was in my Twitter feed. Somebody else posted it. I did. It wasn't like it wasn't somebody I follow. Yes, I thought so too, Jess. It is gross. And it was gross. She used I don't know what they were like. I don't know if they were little orange slices like to show us what she did to clean it out. Sorry, Taya. Hey, it scared me. It scared me. I didn't know what I was watching because it was on. I didn't have any sound on. I had to go back and like, what is she doing? Teach their own, I guess. Back to this cute little woman here who just was asked what species the victim was.
It's just corporate.
Okay. Going specifically for the injuries, he had 4 gunshot wounds. I'm going to start, I guess, the gunshot wounds, I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, and 4. That doesn't mean that was the first one, second, third one, or fourth one shot. It's just order. He had a gunshot wound on the lower back, on the mid lower back.
Your Honor, may Mr. Demore volunteer for a prop?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't matter who that was.
Yes, sir.
I agree, Zach.
The witness stand down and demonstrate on Mr. Demore.
Oh, so we get to see how cute she really is.
He had a gunshot wound on the mid lower back, approximately at this level. That wound was simple gunshot wound, but then the round had what we call gunpowder stiffening. That means it's a close range shot. The bullet went straight into his spine and severed the spinal cord. He had another gunshot wound.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Had another gunshot wound that entered approximately this level on the right side of the back. Again, with gunpowder stiffening, indicating that it's a close range shot. And the bullet went through the lung, and I recovered a .22 caliber bullet, approximately at this level on the left side of the anterior chest. Wound force back to front, right to left, and up. He had another wound at approximately this level on the back, on the right side of the back. Again, with gunpowder stiffening, again, close range. The wound port, I recovered a .22 caliber bullet on the right side, on the front of the chest, at this level. This one went back to front, minimally from right to left and up. Again, all of them steep angle, these two. The other one, since it fractured, got into the bone immediately, you really cannot tell much of an angle. Then the fourth wound was on the head, on the back of the head, in the area of the occipital bone, slightly to the right of the midline. That one I had to shave, and if later on you can see some photographs, I had to shave the hair to see exactly the characteristics of the wound. That bullet just fractured the occipital bone and shattered. Again, it's a .22, so there are small bullets and they fragment very easily. It never went into the cranial cavity. As it shattered the bone also there, those fragments of bone did bruise the occipital lobe of the brain. But really, the bullet in itself did not go in there. So that's about it. Four shots, at least 3 of them, I can say they were close range. I recovered 4 bullets for .22 caliber bullets.
With regard to the one in the hair at the back of the head, could you tell whether or not it also was at close range?
See, since you have plenty of hair in this area of the head, the hair can filter out the stiffening. So I really cannot say if it was close range or not. Could have been, but then could have not been.
Your Honor, may the witness return to the stand, Mr. Moore retire his Doctor, I would like you to look at State's Exhibit 6C and D for identification.
We've had a lot of those dresses that look like drapes
And also,
and weird tattoos.
You have seen them, Your Honor, against both will address them particularly for
First, I would ask you to tell us if you recognize photographs 6C and 6D, and if they, and what they picture. Go ahead.
Yes. They portrayed the back and the back of the head of Mr. Antonio.
All right, sir, ma'am, the larger of the two, if you would examine it closely and indicate how that photograph may support the testimony that you've just given.
Objection to the form of the question.
Overruled.
You can see the 3 wounds.
Objection to the publication.
Just don't say what's on there. That's all right.
Your Honor, the objection was that she tilted it up so the jury could see it. Could you look at it in such a way that the jury's not looking at it until and unless the judge allows it in evidence? It's not in the evidence, yes, just for identification.
I'm sorry. It shows the back with the 3 gunshot wounds as they were when the body was discovered.
All right, with regard to the word stippling, powder burns, how do you spell that word?
SPLIT. God, I have to look it up.
Well, that's all right. Doctors and lawyers don't spell well.
I can write it.
I understand. In fact, that's pieces of powder from the gunshot, correct?
Yes.
Does that show in the photograph, that a larger photograph shows the back?
Yes, it does.
And would that photograph indicate, in your experience as a forensic pathologist, the approximate range that a pistol with a 5.5-inch barrel firing a .22 caliber round would be from the subject when it was fired?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury what that would be, please?
Approximately 6 inches away. The tip of the barrel was 6 inches away from the skin.
Now,
That's awesome, Zach. Congratulations, Baker, on hitting 14,000 subs. He's been working really, really hard and working a lot, and that he deserves it and more. So that's great. That is really good. Congratulations. Don't know if he'll hear it or not, but I'll go tell him congratulations later. Haha. Also, this witness is freaking precious. I hope her time, 30 years later, that she's not jaded and the system hasn't just chewed her up and spit her out. I hope she's still just as precious as she was then.
we've heard your testimony without the jury seeing the photographs, but are the photographs of any assistance to you in explaining that testimony to the jury?
Yes, because if you've never seen stippling, that's the only way to see it and to understand what I'm talking about.
Your Honor, please, we would offer the larger photograph.
Your Honor. Doctor, if Mr. Tanner had not shown you the photographs, could you have testified as to powder?
I can testify to it, yes.
If Mr. Tanner had not shown you the photographs, could you have testified as to the range of the wounds?
Yes.
If Mr. Tanner had not shown you the photographs, could you have described what you did during your autopsy procedure?
Yes.
If Mr. Tanner had not shown you the photographs, could you describe to the jury what you saw?
Yes.
Without the photographs, would you have been able to describe those things in detail?
Yes, I could have.
Did you take notes during your examination of the decedent?
Yes.
And did you review those notes prior to testifying here today?
Yes.
Do those notes relate information such as that related in the photographs? Like
Yes.
photographs? Your Honor, we would object to the introduction of both photographs as unnecessary and irrelevant.
And may I ask another question too on that basis, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Likewise, if you were talking about shattered or broken bones, you could describe those without an x-ray, couldn't you?
Yes.
But an x-ray would do what if you had that to show to a jury?
Objection, Your Honor, that's not the test.
So you need to. No, go ahead.
I'm not.
Are you not offering a smaller photograph?
We were going to offer it in a moment, Your Honor. We wanted to deal with them one at a time. We think the unique character of these wounds does bring it within the rules.
Yes. The objection to the rule that we have to be received from Mark and evidence.
Doctor, the second photograph, which the judge, His Honor, has put close to you again, it's on the bench button. With regard to that, there appears to be a wound with absence of hair. Can you just explain that, please, to the jury?
Yes, because prior to taking that photograph, I shaved the hair off. See, that's the only way to really examine the wound.
And you found no residue of powder on the skin of that particular wound, correct?
Correct.
If there had been powder, it would have been caught in the hair.
The hair would have filtered it out, yes.
Your Honor, please, we would offer the second photograph of evidence at this time.
Same objection as stated and the cumulativeness objection, Your Honor.
The objection status in this photograph.
Dr. Aruda, this is Exhibit 6M for identification. Is that a true and accurate copy of the diagram that you prepared contemporaneous with your autopsy reflecting the location of the wounds about which you testified in this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'd offer the copy of the doctor's records and data.
Your Honor, the previous running objection, we note again, but beyond that, there's no further objection.
So let the accuracy proceed to mark out the evidence.
Your Honor, we might need to move this closer now.
Wherever you want it.
Ready, doctor, sit down on the chair. Doctor, we're working with a copy that realistically the jurors in the back probably can't see, but in any event, if you'll step back, your verbal testimony will be more significant than the areas to which you're referring.
Perhaps you're also going to be speaking away from the court reporter, so speak loudly enough so she can hear you.
Okay.
You want me to move the, can you stand for that on the block of chart? I would ask you first with regard to and let's begin with the lower bullets. Could you point out on the first, that chart prepared by you at the time you did your autopsy?
Yes, this is what we call the body diagram. This is where we take our notes. We label all the injuries, we measure. This is our working sheet.
Right. Let's talk first about the lowest wound, in the back. Did you tell the jury where that struck and what the effect on the victim would be?
That's the one that was on the mid side of the back, on the midline of the back, and went directly into the 9th thoracic vertebra, cutting the spinal cord at that level. That would mean paralysis of the body from there down.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
All right, for
It's
the
also-
record,
Hey, Baker. Zach asked you if you want to feel a little Irish today. Anytime anybody asks me any questions like that, the answer is always no. And congratulations, Baker. Zach said you hit 14,000 subs. That's awesome, and you deserve it. And congratulations again. You've been working hard. We have the cutest little medical examiner on testifying right now. She's precious. Although she is testifying, why did they not make... I'm going to say this and then Gabby's going to go, that's what she said. How come that's not bigger? Why is it the diagram's like this big for her to be pointing out things? I guess, never mind. I'm good at that. No, she is so precious. and she's just so cute. And the the attorney questioning her asked her what species the victim was. He's human. It was hilarious. I just wonder what she looks like now. We might just be better off keeping her here in our minds. Just saying. Sometimes time is not kind.
For the record, Your Honor, it's beyond the scope of the Williams rule evidence, and it's also not relevant. Thank you.
If that had been the only shot delivered to the subject and he'd received medical care within a few hours, would he live?
Objection, Your Honor, and objection to the form of the question as well.
Objection overruled. She can answer the question.
Yes, means paralysis, but yes, the person would have been alive.
All right, did you recover that bullet from the body?
Yes.
All right, would you look at the second wound higher up on the back and describe you described the trajectory earlier, but could you describe the organs or internal structures of the body that were implicated in the wound?
It went through the right lung and through the pulmonary hilum, which is the main where we have all the branching, all the arteries, the trachea, and the superior vena cava, which brings the blood return from the head back to the heart is a major vein. Causes massive internal bleeding. The bullet was recovered here on the left side of the anterior chest.
All right, the third bullet, please.
The third bullet is this one over here, and that one just went across through the right lung. I recovered again a .22 caliber bullet.
Likewise, with that wound alone, if reasonable medical care was administered within a few hours, necessarily be fatal?
Objection to the form of the question, Your Honor, and also beyond the scope of expert testimony.
Overruled.
It causes internal bleeding, massive internal bleeding. It's basically lethal within a couple of minutes.
All right, was that bullet also recovered by you?
Yes.
And finally, the fourth bullet, please.
The fourth bullet is the one on the head that just shatters impacted the occipital bone and caused just bruising. The fragmented bone is one bruising on the right occipital lobe of the brain.
Would you remain right there for a moment, please? Your Honor, may I hand her the exhibit that was in here?
Yes.
Now, Doctor, could you approach the jury, and I think you probably have to go in at least two, if not three approaches, and just point out with your finger the medical aspects concerning your autopsy, concerning these wounds and the distance of the firearm from the wound.
I don't think we'll see these pictures, but if she gives the cameraman any angle to zoom in on, he or she is going to. So just be aware of that because she's got to show the jury. And I just wondered if he was going to get a tiny picture out to go with her tiny diagrams. But he didn't. Also, yes, that was the jury. Haven't seen them yet today. There they were.
This is the one on the mid side.
And you must speak loudly enough for court reporter can hear.
This is the one on the mid side of the back. He's kind of a little bit stretching, but once you put it back up straight, this is on the midline, then the one was on the right.
I didn't do that.
Lateral side, and then the other one, it was in the mid back. And you can see, probably this is the best shot. Around, there's gunpowder. That is what we use to estimate the range of powder. That would put it about 6 inches away from the body. The others show it too, those little, that's what we call gunpowder stippling or tattooing, which are powder burns. The one on the midline, the one on the right lateral side, and the one higher up. This one probably is the best photograph. shows all the powder and the tattooing. You can see it on the others too. This is bleeding. I mean, once it's clean, you can see it even better.
Objection, Your Honor, to the last comment.
Overruled.
For the record, Your Honor, the witness is demonstrating the evidence to the jury.
Yes.
The one on the midline, the one on the right lateral side of the higher up. And that with powder and with the tattooing around.
Excuse me,
Oh, the powder and the tattooing. Around. The one on the midline, right lateral side, the one higher up. And that's what I mean when I talk about gunpowder and tattooing, all those fragments that we see around here.
Did the alternate juror able to see at the end? He's not in the box, he's our alternate juror.
One on the midline, right lateral side, higher up. The tattoo and the stitching around the wound that we use to estimate the range of the target.
All the
Doctor,
paper.
Did you package the bullets you took from Mr. Antonio's body?
Yes,
I'd like you to look at exhibits 5S, 5 S's in a row, and ask if you recognize the packaging, and if so, tell the jury, please, what it is.
it has 4 bullet envelopes, each one labeled with the plate, is my handwriting, saying where I retrieved the bullet from. So one reads left upper chest, T9, that means 9th thoracic vertebra, fragments, occipital bone, and right upper chest. And then is the other envelope where the crime lab person put all those bullets in. His initials and the date are also up there.
Would you examine the contents and see if you recognize what's in those packages, please?
Yes. Oh, there's another thing on the envelope. You will see on the right lower side, there's a says photo. We always take photographs of the bullets as we take them out. Okay, I'm opening the one that says right upper chest. Yes, it's 22 caliber bullet. Fragments from the occipital bone. And yes, there are several bullet fragments. The one that says T9. .22. The one that says left upper chest. Yes, another 22 caliber bullet.
And do you recognize those bullets and as they relate to this autopsy?
Yes,
Are those the same bullets you removed from Mr. Antonio's body?
yes.
Your Honor, please, we'd offer the bullets into evidence at this time.
Objection, Your Honor. The one usual objection and a predicate objection.
Overruled as to the chief of the
Doctor, I note on your chart, which has now been received in evidence as State's Exhibit 109, in reference to the left hand, the word ring mark, what does that indicate? Ring mark.
There was no ring, but most of us, when we wear a ring, once we remove it, you see white just because the sun exposes and tans the rest of the skin. So he had no ring, but he had the ring mark.
And your opinion with regard to the 3 wounds in the back is that if a 5.5-inch 22 caliber pistol was used, was how far from the subject when it was fired?
Objection to the form, Your Honor.
overruled.
About 6 inches away, the tip of the barrel 6 inches away from the body surface.
Could you tell the jury whether or not a toxicology test was run in the course of the autopsy, and if you know the results, and if so, what the results were?
Yes, we always test for drugs and alcohol, and alcohol was negative, and all it showed was caffeine and nicotine, meaning that he smoked and he drank some coffee.
Did you learn the age of the subject at your autopsy?
59 years old.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared a death certificate in the case?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, it's not the most earth-shattering document, but we object to it as cumulative.
You see the edit?
It's not the most earth-shattering.
Of course they do.
Overruled as to the chief mark as proper number.
Doctor, just before, your judge says, excuse me.
How do you think that went over for the jury? It's not the most earth-shattering document, but we're going to object to it anyway. We've basically objected to everything they have brought in. So we're just going to continue that. They probably should just let that one go. Just my opinion.
I'd ask you to look at Exhibit 111 in evidence. Can you tell the jury if that is a true copy of a document that you prepared or caused to be prepared?
Yes,
And what is it, please?
is the death certificate
Of,
of Mr. Antonio.
and can you tell the jury, please, what the cause of death was?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
No further questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Doctor, did you prepare any reports regarding your examination?
Prepare any reports?
Yeah, any handwritten or typed reports.
Yes,
Do you have those with you?
I have. You have the copies.
We have a chart.
Okay, that chart is the one I do at the time of the autopsy.
Okay, did you do anything else, any notes or typed?
Those are the notes. If you want a copy of the entire
Can I-
autopsy report,
I'd love a copy of the entire autopsy report. Formally, we have not.
you have not received it?
I'll deal with it later.
Honor, what's
I'll
on
deal with it
All
later.
right, we've discussed it.
Let me just take a look at it, Doctor. If I may approach the witness, sir.
That's the original. I have an extra copy for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Your Honor, the witness has given me an extra copy, which I will take to the podium.
Not yet, Black
Your Honor, for
man.
the record, we'll formally withdraw the last comment of not having that particular, but we do in fact have that item.
Okay. Doctor, you testified on direct examination that, well, withdrawn. Were you able to ascertain anything as to the sequence of the shots?
No,
You don't know which shot came first, do you?
no,
You also talked a little bit about powder, stifling, that type of thing.
yes,
You examined the decedent's hair in that regard.
yes.
Was there any powder on the hair?
Not that I could see, but it's awfully difficult.
And you testified on direct examination that you know nothing concerning the sequence of the shots fired.
Yes,
You also testified that you became aware of the decedent's age
later on, yes,
later on. And you also testified that you became aware of that you were looking for a ring mark, or you observed?
no, that was observed at the time of autopsy. There were several odd things about him. He came undressed, only with socks, and that he had absolutely nothing to identify him. He had no dentures. The ring marks, so it's like he's been stripped of everything that could be used for identification.
Did any law enforcement officers come to the examination with the decedent's body? Bring them to you?
Yes,
Detective Penn or one of those folks?
to tell you the truth, I don't
You
remember.
don't remember, but some law enforcement officers came.
Yes,
How did it come about that you learned the decedent's age? Who told you?
it was later on, we had to identify him through fingerprints. So once they ran the fingerprints and they got a name, of course, comes with date of birth and everything.
Did the law enforcement, when you indicated that the decedent had no dentures, it was obvious to you that he would wear dentures, correct?
Yes, because you could see on the palate a mark. You know, when you wear dentures for a long time, you have like a ridge where the dentures stop. And we looked in the mouth and it looked like he was a person that usually wore dentures, but he didn't have them on.
During the course of your examination, were you able to determine whether the decedent could have been standing or sitting at the time he was shot?
That I cannot tell.
Were you able to, withdraw? When the law enforcement officers came to the examination with the decedent's body, did they talk to you at all? Or did they just drop the body off and leave?
No, they did.
They did talk to you. Did they indicate to you anything regarding what property they believe the victim had?
No,
Do you recall them saying anything to you about a billy club?
no. Don't
You-
recall.
Do you recall them saying anything to you about a .38 caliber gun that the decedent had?
No.
Do you recall? During your examination,
What's up, Carmen? How you doing? Better, I know.
were you able to ascertain whether the decedent was reaching for anything at the time he was shot?
No,
During your examination, were you able to ascertain whether the decedent was reaching for a billy club at the time he was shot?
no,
And you also testified that you could not conclude anything regarding the sequence of the shots.
you're correct.
I have nothing further. Thank you, Doctor.
A billy club? Where did that come in from? I don't recall. I don't know. Okay. How would... That was a dumb question. Like, how would she know what he was doing? He was probably trying to not get, unalived.
Just a couple of questions, Your Honor. Dr. Rosa, did you cause a photograph to be taken of the deceased, Mr. Antonio's face at the time of autopsy, along with the identification number, identifying the case number?
Yes, we take,
Excuse me, and is Exhibit 6B that photograph?
yes, we take photographs, ID photographs of the people come to our office and specifically of all the wounds.
You're gonna please read off the photograph of the face.
Counsel.
We object, Your Honor.
Prior objection.
Thank you.
Is, insofar as the position of Mr. Antonio at the time he was shot, after he was shot square in the spine, would he have been able to stand up?
No,
Physically, once that bullet was delivered to the spine, what would be his ability to move?
just the one that his arms will give him,
Nothing from the legs.
nothing from the legs.
No further questions?
Doctor, were you able to ascertain during your examination how quickly the shots were fired?
They had to be very in a rapid succession because there was bleeding in all of them.
So it would be one after the other very quickly.
Yes,
Nothing further to add.
How long would a human being shot in the back of the lungs like that continue to bleed?
Relevancy, Robert. Overall.
it's hard to tell. Continue to bleed. You bleed until your drop pressure drops enough that you don't bleed anymore. And depending on the number of wounds and where's the blood going to, you can have from seconds to maybe a minute or two.
We're not talking about an instantaneous death, are we?
Objection.
Overruled.
No,
And to bleed to death, to die, didn't he?
yes.
No further questions.
Counsel, you read cross.
Doctor, on the death certificate, you did not list excessive bleeding as the cause of death, did you?
No, because that's mostly what happens when you get shot. You exsanguinate due to the gunshot wounds. It's redundant. I don't ever do it.
You listed gunshot wounds,
Yes,
and those were the gunshot wounds that you testified came quickly.
yes.
Nothing.
Nothing further. Doctor, will you excuse your honor?
Yes, indeed. Hey, quick, maybe, doctor, or someone on your name. You are, and we'll let you. May I inquire?
Please, the court. Ma'am, would you please introduce yourself?
I didn't like any of that cross. I thought he opened the door when he asked about if the wounds were bleeding, and that happened in very quick succession. And then got mad when they asked about whatever they asked. I was like, you opened that to me. He opened that door when he asked about the bleeding. Yeah, I don't, that there was too much back and forth that I didn't think needed to happen with that witness right there. But I'm not a lawyer, so I know nothing. Maybe this is Aileen, whatever I said her name was at the beginning of the stream. I don't even remember now. Maybe this is the other Aileen. Aileen. I think she might go by Aileen and Aileen, spelled the same.
Yes, I'm Rose McNeil.
And
Nope.
ma'am, do you have a place of employment?
Yes, I do.
And where is that?
It's in Harbor Oaks, Florida. It's Fairview Motel.
And how long have you been involved with the Fairview Motel?
A little over 2 years.
And are you the owner of that establishment?
Yes, I am.
Now, I'd like to take you back to November the 18th of 1990. At that time, did you have registered as one of your hotel occupants, a lady known to you as Cammie Green?
Yes, I did.
Do you know her by any other name?
Lee?
Do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point her out, please?
Sitting right here.
Can you describe what she's wearing?
She has a sort of peach suit.
Please record, Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness is identifying the defendant, Aileen Wuornos. Now, ma'am, back on November the 18th of 1990, may I approach on?
Yes, sir.
Did you have occasion to see what has been introduced in evidence that states 98 at your motel?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe to the jury where it is that you first saw states 98?
It was parked behind my motel.
Okay, and that's a photograph of an automobile?
Yes.
When you first saw the car, did it have a vehicle tag on it?
No, it didn't.
And do you have any discussion with the defendant about the car, why it was at your motel?
Yes, she said that,
Overruled.
You may answer me.
she said that she had borrowed it from a man friend and that she had to park it back there so his wife wouldn't see it, because if he saw it, then she'd have to give it back.
And did there come a point in time that the car was no longer at your motel?
Yes, it was only there for possibly a day.
Did you have any further discussion with her about the car?
Well, she voluntarily, again, told me that she had to return it because the man's wife had seen her with it, so she had to return the car.
Now, during that period of time, or before that period of time, did the woman that you described as the defendant have a companion?
Yes, she did.
Do you know who that individual was?
Yes, it was Ty Moore.
Now, ma'am, at the time when you saw the car, do you know the whereabouts of Ty Moore?
She had supposedly went to Ohio for Thanksgiving.
Well, how do you know that?
Well, I just know from what they told me, she had left. I saw her leave with the suitcase and
Objection here, Sarah.
She's describing what you saw. Who are you referring to seeing leave with the suitcase?
Ty and Lee was with her. What they had, were going to get a bus to go to the airport
Was that before or after you saw this automobile?
before.
After you saw the automobile and after it was no longer there at your motel, did you have any discussion about with Ms. Wuornos about the whereabouts of Ty Moore?
Yes, Lee had asked me if I could possibly take her to,
Overruled.
You may answer that.
if I could take her to pick up Ty when she came back from the airport, because it was going to be a Sunday and the buses weren't running.
Were you able to help her to pick up Ms. Wuornos?
No, she made other arrangements.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions.
You may inquire.
All right, I've been dying to see this purple outfit all day because she's had skirts, like dresses or skirts on this whole entire time. But I'm waiting to see if this is like a purple pantsuit or a skirt. I'm hoping for a skirt, because if it's like a jumpsuit, pantsuit, whatever thing, that'll be way too much. Oh, Zach, I thought you were. I don't know how you got 3 minutes behind, and I thought you were calling that woman that. Never mind.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
You have testified that Lee and Ty lived at your motel, is that correct?
Yes.
And they lived at your motel on at least 3 occasions, separate occasions, isn't that true?
Yes.
And during that period of time, Lee and Ty were always together, except where you've indicated that Ty left for a vacation for a holiday, is that correct?
If you mean by always together, that they were either always both of them gone or both of them there, no, that's not correct.
Okay. When Lee would be out, be walking around, going out, Ty would go with her. They were close.
She didn't always go with her, no.
Okay. Ty didn't always go with her?
No.
Okay. During the periods of time that Lee stayed at the motel, you had occasions to see her so intoxicated that she was difficult to talk to, isn't that right?
Yes.
Lee stayed at your motel for a period of time after Ty left her, did she not?
Yes, about 5 days.
Okay. And during that time, she didn't want to stay in their old room because of the memories, isn't that true?
It's true.
And she was very broken up. She was very sad about the fact that Ty had left.
Yes.
Okay. A moment, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else.
Mr. Moore?
John, may we publish the photograph?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this witness be excused.
Yes, sir. You need to keep this witness, counsel.
No, Your Honor.
You get stand down, you may depart. We have a rule that has to vote to prevent you from discussing your testimony in the case. So we just close
Your Honor, before the witness's testimony actually begins, may we conduct a hearing for the court outside the presence of the jury?
May the jury take the item of evidence being published with us so they can view it.
All right, go ahead.
Wait, so they're going to have a hearing outside the presence of the jury, and there was an item being published, so they're just letting them take it with them? That's new or old. Yes, we do have a new court reporter, and she's yep, she's better than the other one. We all rocked shoulder pads back in the day. I hope they don't ever come back. Flash fan, I'm sorry. Did you eat too much? All right, let's see what this is happening here.
Judge, my understanding of, I don't know how this particular witness's testimony fits into the Williams rule evidence that the state has been presenting here. I know Your Honor has ruled as to the Williams rule as a whole, but this is a different category of evidence. I don't know if it would be appropriate for me to get into the substance of it, or maybe Mr. Tanner can relate, so Mr. DeMore can relate some of what.
Is this included in the recital notice?
There's a separate notice with regards to this one, but what I'm saying is Your Honor's ruling originally that, although you ruled on the Williams rule evidence, this is Williams rule evidence of a different
That was the addendum.
Yes, sir. Mr. Copus was listed originally in the original notice of Williams rule. He was also additionally noticed in the state's addendum, which included Mr. Dallarosa.
Right.
And we argued this, Your Honor, before the court. At the time, we argued all the remainder. I feel this is clearly Williams rule testimony.
So, Attorney, you understand, what I would do is I would refer you both of the notices that was filed and use similar fact testimony. And if that would, what is your name, sir?
Bobby Copus.
His name is included in the.
Yeah, that's not the issue, Your Honor. The issue is a relevancy issue relating to this type of evidence. The question is, what is this probative of? What does this prove?
When it comes on, I see the recital made here, and if they fail to fulfill the recital.
But that's what I'm saying. It's the legal question for Your Honor is assuming that what is in the recital is what this witness will testify to. What material issue is that relevant to, particularly when you went against the prejudice, an undue prejudice to the accused? I'm sorry, Judge.
Maybe.
And if I may, Your Honor, if the state could proffer, before the jury comes in, what the similarity is that is intended to prove between this item of evidence.
I believe I've already ruled. The allegation made in the notice, yeah, was filed on August 5th, 1981. And recital set forth therein is the facts. That is, the state was filed on August 5th, 1981. I also read the addendum of the state's previously filed notice of some fact evidence filed on December 27, 1991. The allegations set forth therein. Based on those recitals, I ruled that testimony is similar fact.
We would respectfully object, Your Honor, and we'll just put it together with the rest of the running objections. Thank you, Judge.
Sorry, I just glanced down at my calendar. I'm telling you, today's been a weird off day for me. So yeah, 10 days ago, not a week, not less than a week ago, very expired. Whatever you ate, Flash fan. Sorry. I'm telling you, this Monday has not, it should be Wednesday already, as long as this day has already been for me. Good Heavens. All right. See, you guys got to keep me in check because I never know. But I don't know what you ate. Doesn't seem like expired kale. Did it taste okay? I mean, yeah. Sir Frank, math is hard. It is. You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, I started off with the human litter box this morning, and it has just pretty much been that ever since. It's how weird my day has been. I should just stayed in bed.
Sir, would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Bobby Lee Copus. I live in Lakeland, Florida.
And Mr. Copus, I want to ask you where you were back on November 4th or 5th of 1990, if you recall.
I went over to Elaine's truck brokers to pick up some settlement checks for my big rigs.
What
And
kind of business are you in, sir?
trucking.
Okay, and were you employed as a trucker in trucking business on November the 5th of 1990?
I had rigs on the road, yes.
Okay, sir. And can you explain to the jury what you were doing at the truck stop?
Elaine sent me over to get a driver. They'd been paging that morning. They couldn't get a hold of him. And I picked up my settlement checks. I was on the way to Orlando to pay for my insurance on my rigs. And so I stopped by the truck stop over there to get this driver they couldn't get on page. And as I was coming out of the truck stop, I run into that lady right there, some other truck driver. I don't even know the guy's name.
Let me stop you for a second, sir. You're pointing to someone to see here.
That young lady right there. In the suit.
Describe what she's wearing.
The day I seen her,
No, sir, right now, so we know who you're talking about.
in the pink outfit right there with that fiery blouse.
May the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant, Aileen Wuornos. Did you come into contact with Ms. Wuornos on or about November the 5th, 1990?
Yes,
Did you meet her?
yes.
Would you describe to the jury the circumstances, how you first met her and what occurred?
Well, I was introduced to her as a lady with car trouble. His car broke down. As they approached me, the driver asked me, he says, sir, I was getting my wife's car. He says, which way are you going? I said, I'm going to Orlando. They insurance on my rigs. He said, this lady's car broke down. Would you give her a ride? I said, I'm just going to Orlando. He said, but she lives in Daytona Beach. That's when she said she could call her sister. It's an hour drive. It's an hour drive from Haines City to Orlando. It's an hour drive from Daytona Beach to Orlando. I told her I'd give her a ride if her sister would meet her there and pick her up at the insurance place where I was going to pay my insurance.
Did she tell you anything about what had occurred herself?
After she got in the car, she said carburetor, some kind of car trouble, carburetor.
Previous objections to the conversation, Judge.
You can answer. Let me try to clarify something.
If I ask you, thank you, Judge.
Sir, before you got into the car, this conversation you were having, you indicated Ms. Wuornos was there, or there was another individual?
Yes, this driver.
Was he a truck driver?
Yes,
Man or woman?
he's a man.
Okay. Was Ms. Wuornos with him at that time? When he
She was in
walked
his
up there?
presence now. I don't know if she was, she was in his presence.
That's what I mean. They were together.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was it that you understood was necessary for you to do at that time, based on what was being told to you?
Well, I asked her, I said, I'm going to Orlando. She said, well, if I call my sister, she can meet us in Orlando. I said, okay. I had the papers in my hand for the insurance company. And it was the corner of Cayley and Orange. It's where she said she'd have her sister pick her up at. If I just get her that far.
Did she say what had happened to her, why she needed a ride?
Well, she said she had to get her kids out of the daycare by a certain time.
Did she say how many children she had? 2 children. And she had to get them out of daycare by a certain time?
Yeah.
And did you in fact give her a ride?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you explain what occurred, if anything, as you gave her a ride?
Well, when we got in the car, we drove out of the truck stop parking lot, through the bank, down there by the bank, through the bank, and I cashed the checks or give them to the girl in the bank. She just put all the money in the envelope. It's sealed up.
Where'd you put the money?
Yeah, it came back to me and I put it up over the sun visor.
What did you do, if anything, after you went to the bank?
Well, we drove out of the bank. We started back up 27. And that's when she propositioned me.
Can you tell, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, what she said to you, as best you can recall?
She propositioned me, and it kind of dumbfounded me for a minute because I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't expecting her to do that because up to that point, she'd been a perfect lady, about everything. And I thought she was just a woman in distress. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I've been married 30 years to the same woman. I wasn't interested in nothing like that. So we drove on a little bit farther, but during that process, when she asked me the second time, somehow her personality, she changed. She just, I don't know, she changed. She had her purse open. She was combing her hair with a big old comb, big old teeth in it. She was combing her hair. And at that point, I really wasn't scared of nothing. I just, she did say, she said she wasn't no prostitute, but she needed money. And she kept glancing up at that envelope. Of course, she had no way of knowing how much I had up there in it, which was about $4,000.
She was present when you cashed checks.
Yeah, when I stuck them through the window of the check, but she didn't know how much it was.
And then what was happening as you're riding at this point? You say she was combing her hair.
Yeah.
Then what?
I seen what I thought was a small caliber gun in her purse. It was laying in the floorboard. Okay.
And when you saw that, what happened?
Well, I mean, naturally, it scared me a little bit. But anyway, she put her comb back in her purse and snapped it shut. And we went on up the highway. But when she propositioned me the third time, she wasn't the same person.
You described to the jury what was occurring at this point. How was she acting?
Don't have to say the exact words.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please. As best
Says
as
I
you
give
can.
you the best damn blowjob you ever had in your life. And it's the way, it's the tone of voice she said it in, and the way she said it, and we were going by all these orange groves. She made a statement we could whip up in the orange grove there, and my wife would never know nothing about it. At this point in time, I was really scared, okay? I didn't know what to do.
Did you see the gun? Had you seen the gun?
I had already seen the gun.
And how was the defendant acting as this was happening?
I don't know. I mean,
Did she tell you how much it would cost you for this blowjob?
well, she said she needed $100, and I wasn't interested in, but I realized I was in a situation here, I need to talk my way out of it. And I knew there was another place up there by the junction of I-4 and 27. I just wanted to drive my car in presence of a lot of people. And I just said, well, we'll just go have a real hell of a time. And okay, we'll have a good time. I'll whip in up here at, believe it or not, that place, Star Marvin. It's a quick fuel place. I said, you call your sister and tell her not to worry about me in Daytona Beach or Orlando. We'll just go all the way to Daytona Beach.
Did you pull into that truck stop?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe what, if anything, occurred when you first pulled it?
Well, when I first pulled in, she said, I don't have no change. So I just, put out a $5 bill and said, here's $5. Call your sister and we'll go on to Daytona Beach. No sense in her making the trip. And if she got out of the car, if she did, I hit the electric door locks.
You locked the doors?
I locked the doors. That's when she realized she'd been tricked out of the car. And that's when she...
Objection to the characterization of somebody else.
Can you describe, when you locked the doors, did the defendant notice that you'd done that?
Yeah, she heard it real loud. You can hear it.
And what, if anything, happened then? If you'll describe what you were seeing at this time, what has happened?
What I was seeing at that time was a woman in total frustration, mad as hell, and she whirled around, and as she was coming around the car from my side, she says, I'll kill you like I did them other old fat son of a bitches.
Did she have that purse with her?
Yeah, she had the purse with her, but she was fumbling for it. She was coming around the car, and all I was doing was thinking, how the hell to get out of there? Just to get out of there. And as I was driving off, she hollered my tag number, which is my last name. My tag and my name are the same.
What did she say?
And she said, Copus, I'll get you son of a bitch. And a little more vaguely in details than that. I mean, she was cussing and swearing as I drove away. I was scared to death.
Have you seen the woman in the courtroom today that you saw November the 4th, 19?
Yes, she did have a type. One of the first witnesses said, and he had to go back and kind of rephrase it because she did not say this specifically, but he said she specialized in men over the age of 37. So, and he's definitely over 37, I think. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just trying to figure out what those red things are on his shirt.
1990 that cursed at you and told you that she'd kill you like another old fat bastard?
Motion for curative instruction, Your Honor, to the common.
Okay.
Mr. Copus, how many times did the defendant proposition you in that car?
3.
How many
That's the
times?
answer, Your Honor.
How many times did you tell her you were not interested? You were a married man.
That's the answer, Your Honor.
Did the defendant tell you what kind of car she had that broke down?
Corvette.
Did she offer to show you any kinds of identification or anything to show that she had 2 children? And these orange groves you're talking about, were they along the road that
Yes.
where you're going to?
That whole section through there is orange grove.
That's when she was, when she offered to commit that sexual act.
Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Copus.
She had a child when she was 14 that thankfully she gave up for adoption. They are not sure if that child was her grandpa who liked to do things with her or her grandpa's friend who liked to do things with her. But that was the only child she had. And I don't know where that child is. Hopefully they're doing well. But that thankfully was the only one, and it did not grow up with her. Also, I don't know who put the description in on Court TV because none of the names they have are any of the names that have come up. But this guy, hey, smart thinking on his part, if what he says is true. And he probably would not have lived. So smart thinking, just pull in, go call your sister, I'll take you all the way. And as soon as she gets out of the car, he's like, bye. Probably saved his life. Yeah. Yep. I just hope they're normal. Have a good life and maybe don't know who their mom was. Yes, good on him. Because, I mean, she made him a proposition of, it'll be the best one you ever had. $100. Like, dang. Not that I know the going rate for those things, but that just seemed a little pricey. Again, I don't know.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you please report? How is it that you came forward about this experience, Mr. Copus?
I came forward. I seen her in the newspaper.
Okay,
And I
you
realized
saw,
it's the same woman I'd run into, but I didn't know at the time. My son was the one that informed me that there was somebody going around Florida killing people. And then when I seen her picture in the paper, it's a face. I'll never forget it. It's an experience I'll never forget as long as I live.
okay. So you recognized a photograph of my client in the paper, is that right?
Yes.
And what newspaper was that, please?
The Lakeland Ledger.
And what was the date that you saw a photograph of my client in that paper, please?
I think it was in January.
January of what year?
Well, this happened in 9, so it had to be 91.
A year later?
It was a year later.
How many months later?
If it happened in November,
Okay,
at the end of December, from 90 you changed to 91, what's a couple of months?
a couple of months, it was 2 months after your experience, all right. And you read the paper daily?
No, I don't.
Do you read any other papers other than the Lakeland Ledger?
It's weird. This one attorney has been making all the objections, but then he doesn't necessarily ask the questions. I have no idea. I think the judge is just trying to get through it as best he can.
That's all when I get out.
Okay. And other than your son telling you about this
He told me after.
after you saw the photograph?
Yeah, after, when I had that experience, I went home and told my son. I didn't tell my wife at that point. I just confided in my son. He said, well, Daddy said there is a suspect going around the state that they think is killing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him what happened. You want to know what happened to me? And he said, well, you're lucky I said, well, it might not have been the same person.
Okay. But you were aware of other deaths in Central Florida, is that correct?
I hadn't paid attention to none of it, really.
Okay. And you testified that you went to the bank to get some cash to pay your insurance, is
I was
that right?
cashing settlement checks. The checks that I had, they weren't cashable at the insurance place.
Okay, so you were paying cash for your insurance?
Yeah, thank you.
And I believe you testified that it was $4,000 worth of cash?
I believe so, something like that. Combined with the checks and the money I had on me.
You recall giving a statement to law enforcement concerning this experience?
Yes, I do.
Recall during that statement that you indicated that you had $2,000 worth of cash?
No, one check was for $2,000.
You
But
recall,
I had about $2,000. Well, there was a check for $2,000, $1,000, and I believe I had about $1,000 in cash on me.
okay, well, do you recall telling law enforcement that you had $2,000 cash?
I had over $2,000 in cash.
Would it refresh your memory to see your statement?
What refreshed my memory is 10 hours after I made that statement, I had all kinds of publicity on my doorstep, which wasn't supposed to be there. This is why I'll never step forward again. No matter what I see from now on, I'll never step forward again.
Your Honor,
Sorry,
we describe as being unresponsible.
I know now why witnesses and people don't come forward.
Your Honor, I would ask that that be stricken and the jury be advised to.
Did you hear what he just said? This is why people don't come forward. Who cares how much cash he had on him? Did he leave with all his cash? Okay, good. Did he leave with his life? Better. Who cares? She's making such a big deal about it. Oh yeah, absolutely. And he is right. That's why people don't come forward. You're making him out to be the bad guy. He just survived. He tried to give somebody a ride, tried to be nice. She did want to do things with him he didn't want to do. Don't blame him for not telling his wife right away. I mean, I don't know that I would even, as long as he didn't do anything. I don't know that I'd even want to hear that story. But yeah, he is a victim, and he's lucky he wasn't a unalived victim. But he's right. I don't get her questioning. It does not matter how much cash he had. He gave her $5, got her out of his truck, and left. And lived. Doesn't matter. Could you tell me if you told me you saw a picture in the paper of somebody and I was like, well, what day did you see that on? You'd be like, I don't know. It wasn't, well, there's not really newspapers much anymore, but like last Fridays, whatever, maybe sometime last week. Most of us aren't just sitting there staring at the date on the paper. He's going to fling one of those red tab thingies off his collar and hit her. And she would deserve it. I clearly don't either. Because I just told FlashFan that last Friday was the 7th. FlashFan, I do hope you're feeling better. Whatever was happening, I hope it's over. They are pretty much a thing of the past. There's still a few. Yes, the tassels. I just want to see one go flinging off and it could just get her right there. Just make her just hit the off button. These questions are horrible. Okay, good. I was worried about you. All right, let's see how this finishes up. We got one more little short video that we're going to watch. I think it's like 17 minutes. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be in it because so far, none of the people I listed have been on. Thanks, Court TV.
Disregard. Will you describe the purse that this woman that you picked up was carrying, please?
It was some kind of cloth purse. I don't know. When all this was going on, it's 14 months ago. And you asked me to go back and remember details?
Please. Husbands probably can't describe their wife's purse 90% of the time. I've carried the same one for the last, I don't even know how many years, because I just got a new one because I don't like to change it. I like it a lot. I don't change with my outfits. I don't care. My husband probably does not know what it is. I don't know what those are. That's what I asked. Like, I don't know. Gabby said they're collar tassels. We had the motel that Sir Frank said looked like a Q-tip. And it was funny. And Sir Frank was right. Yes, Flash Man, please be careful. Yeah, some women change constantly. They change daily. Look at Judge Boyd. New purse like every day with her flowers. And men don't care. It's flowers? I thought it was a Western shirt too, until there was 4 of them. All right, I believe you. We have objected because we had the ME say one of the holes was in the shoulder. Wait, I'm confused, Jess. This guy was not, he didn't get hit with any rounds of anything to make any holes in him. Their hearts, he's a love bug. I don't know. I don't like the way he's getting treated at all. I'm glad he kind of gave it back to her. Oh, the red spots are near the area. Oh, I get you. I got it. I'm not confused now. Yeah, it's the amount of them that threw me. It could. I never even thought of it that way. But good, yeah, good point. I was just listening. He did not pick her up. A person that was there asked him if he could give her a ride because her car had broken down, and he was just trying to be nice. And he was only going to take her halfway because he was only going to Orlando or wherever. But then she got weird. He had cash on him. I don't care if it was $2,000 or $4,000. She got weird. He saw that she had a weapon and got her out of the car. She was as innocent as Sarah Boone. All right, Carmen. I'm leaving that one alone.
All I know, she's wearing a blouse and shorts, and it was a cloth purse.
Okay, can you show me approximately the size of this cloth purse?
I don't know, something like this, I guess. Flat, like that, I guess.
Okay. And you testified that you saw a gun?
Well, I thought it would be a small caliber pistol. I had no idea what it was.
Okay. You don't know if it was a revolver, do you?
I don't know.
Don't know if it's an automatic?
Nope.
In fact, you only saw, or at least told law enforcement, that you only saw part of a butt. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right.
And yet you're willing to testify it was a small caliber gun?
What it looked to be to me, to me, a big pistol is a big pistol that you carry in a holster.
Okay.
It's something like the one my wife has.
Okay. Isn't it true that you told law enforcement that you only saw a glimpse of what you thought was the butt of a gun because she closed her purse very quickly?
She was putting the comb back in there, yeah. She's putting this big old comb she had back in there.
What was this woman doing with the other trucker when you first saw her?
I I don't know, because I just walked out the door and going to the car. I was going to get my wife's car when they walked up to me. I haven't the slightest idea.
And you were giving this woman a ride to Orlando?
Just to meet her sister.
Okay. And she, at some point, got out to make a telephone call, is that correct?
I tricked her into getting out to make a phone call because I couldn't deal with her. I mean,
She said she wanted to phone her sister, isn't that correct?
She done that right there, truck up before we got in the car. She wouldn't call her and said she's gonna meet us somewhere in Orlando.
And you gave her some money to get out and call her sister, isn't that true?
That's after we done made the trip.
Did you or did you not?
I gave her $5 to get out up there to call her sister and tell her we're coming all the way to Daytona Beach.
Okay, and
That's
as soon
what I
as she
said.
got out of the car, you
Hit the door lock.
hit the door lock and locked her out.
That's right.
And that made her angry.
She was angry before that.
You didn't take her all the way to Orlando, did you?
Nope. I didn't need that problem.
Did you call the police?
I went home and talked to my son about it, and I did not call the police. That's where I made the mistake at right there. I should have went straight to the police. Well, what did I supposed to tell them at that time? At that time, what could I tell them?
Your Honor, I would ask that you instruct the witness to be responsive, move to strike, and ask the jury to disregard.
Next question, please.
Okay, she never pointed the gun at you, did she?
No,
She never touched you, did she?
nope.
You testified that she threatened your life, is that correct?
After she was out of the car, she made them statements.
Okay. And you testified that she said, Copus, I'll get you, is that right?
That's right. I'll always remember that tag number.
Okay. Why didn't you tell law enforcement that when you gave them a statement?
Which one? You mean when I
When you
come
gave your
forward?
tape statement in January?
I thought I did. I gave it to, when I called in about it.
Would it refresh your memory to review your statement?
Ready, steady, roll, let it be.
I don't know what any difference this makes.
Apologize, I did not receive a very good copy, so I hope that you can. If you can, it's right here. Feel free to read it.
You can't read this bottom part.
You restate it again if you want to turn the page. You can read.
When I drive away, that should have been the last part.
Okay. And we actually read the mistake.
You know, I was going to ask if anybody had a shamrock shake today, but I did not want to bring up, as Flashman put it, PTSD of McDonald's for you, Gabby. So I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Dang taste buds.
What she said to you.
That's right. But that was the word she hollered, where she.
But you didn't tell them when you gave this statement that this woman yelled, Copus, I'll get you if it's the last thing I do,
Well,
did you?
No, I didn't.
You indicated that members of the press or the media have contacted you?
They sure did. When they came down and I made that statement, it was all supposed to be confidential until whatever time we had to go to court. It's confidential the next morning.
Okay. Have you had an occasion to speak to Jackie Giroux
Jackie Drew,
from Hollywood?
I don't know the name. There was a lot. There was so many people hounding us for 2 or 3 weeks. We just stay away from everybody.
Okay, one moment, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Dorr, nothing further on. And then keep the information. Yeah, you release, John?
Yes, sir. You may have that, sir, when you go home.
Give me a sec. Sorry, there are weird tech. Oh, we got closed captionings for the short one. Good for us. There's a there's a weird group text messaging thing going on that you guys obviously can't see because it's my family, but they're talking about a person, and my husband just said something about species, and I know he's not watching this. Yes, you can't spell today because it's Monday, and everything is off. I hate how she was treating him too. I wouldn't go that far. And I agree. I don't get this every day. It's been like, I don't get it. Nah, he's not. But it was funny. All right. Who knows who these people are? We'll see. It's supposed to be like somebody with the last name of Dallarosa, which I love that. Like, I'll take a Dallarosa. But who knows? So let's see. Choose our own adventure right now.
Clark. Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, will you state your name and your address for what you do for a living?
Yes, sir. My name is James C. Dallarosa. I live at 806 Waterhouse Court, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm an auctioneer.
Mr. Dallarosa, in late.
Oh my gosh, the closed captioning. I'm laughing because Gabby and I were going through some audio stuff the other night, and this guy came on. And she was like, kind of like Carmen, holy hair. I don't remember what she compared it. She compared it to something, and it fit perfectly. He did not say, oh shit, but the closed captionings did. Yeah, it hit something, and a fence. Oh, my goodness. O.J. Simpson does not testify in this trial. Good grief. All right. I forgot this was the guy.
89 or early 90, did you come in contact with the defendant, Aileen Wuornos, to sit here?
I believe that to be her, so yes, sir.
All right, sir. Could you tell the jury, please, how you came in contact with her?
I was in the Holly Hill area, Derbyshire, 11th Street, and I was headed west to Highway 92. There was a lady standing alongside the road. This was early in, well, I'll say about mid-morning on a weekday, and there was a lady standing alongside the road, indicating that she needed a ride going that way. I don't recall if she had her hand out, hitching a ride, or if she was just standing there. I don't recall the particular details about that. She got in the, I stopped, she got in the vehicle.
Does this appear to be that lady?
Yes, sir, it does.
We traveled a very short distance. She asked me what I was doing. I told her I was out running errands. And she told me she was a professional prostitute. And she wanted to get to the interstate to hitchhike a ride to Orlando and back. And she was curious how this was going to get her to this particular road, which is 11th Street, as I said before, from Derbyshire to Highway 92. Live in this area, knowing that that was close to Interstate 4, I told her this would get her there, no problem. And she was very curious about it. I said, well, this will get you down to the intersection, down to Highway 92 and 11th Street, and I'll let you out there. And the interstate is just a short piece from there. And she says, fine. During the course of the drive, she made mention of having a home in this area. I think I mentioned before, $125,000 home. And I asked her what area. She declined to say. And I was rather concerned at this time if she had a home in this area, but she didn't know how this road was going to get her from point A to point B. I didn't feel that everything was as advertised. She showed me a picture of a couple children, and I commented, it's nice looking children or whatever I may have said about the children. She had a purse on the floor between her feet, and she removed the pictures, showed them to me. She put them back and pulled out another card holder and held it up and said,
Back in the day, that was a very, very nice home. Today, it's like, you're lucky if it has 4 walls and 2 doors, front and back. And yeah, Pelltown. I got dragged to the strip club. Okay. Yeah, see. I don't know the difference between a pro and an average everyday one, Carmen. Oh, good. I can't wait to see. How does he do that? It's like, I don't know how he does that. Maybe he just goes and stands on the beach and it dries with the wind. And that's what happens.
this is some of my customers, judges, attorneys, state's attorneys, police officers, and I forget else who she might have mentioned. And she told me what her fees was. If you want me to go into that, I will.
Yes, sir, and you have to use the language that Ms. Wuornos used to the best of your recollection. And you have to use it exactly as you heard it.
Well, so she didn't use any foul language with me. She just, all she said was that her rates was $75 in the woods, $100 in a motel room. You've got to use a condom and straight sex. I didn't comment. We rode a little piece further, and she said, I prefer to go to the woods. I said, not to offend her or make her mad, I made a comment to the effect of maybe some other time or later or rain check or something of this nature. I felt very uncomfortable with the situation. And she commented, it's now or never. And after I declined her offer, her emotions, she acted a lot different than she did earlier in the short ride across there.
How did she change in her attitude towards you?
Well, earlier she was kind of very open about things and talking very freely. And then after I declined, she didn't have too much to say. She was abruptly doing things in the seat of the car, reaching for her purse and back and forth in the seat and things of this nature. And I just felt uncomfortable with the situation. I felt that I felt along there was a problem when she didn't know how 11th Street was going to get her to Highway 92 to get to the interstate, but she had a home in this area. This was running through my mind all the time. So it was a short ride across there, approximately 10 to 15 minutes. I let her out at the corner of Highway 92 and 11th Street. I headed east towards Daytona. She headed west towards the interstate walking. When she exited the car, she slammed the door on the car. She didn't say thanks or anything for the ride. And that's what happened.
After you refused her offer for sex, did she appear to be angry with you?
Well, sir, she never really confronted me about sex. She told me what her price was. She never asked me if I wanted to go she never came right out and asked me if I was, if this was the situation or if this was what was going to happen. She made mention of her fees.
And when she said now or never.
Well,
Objection, Your Honor.
I would assume that was Let's Go to the Woods or wherever.
And along that route, before you get to the interstate, are there woody areas?
Yes, sir, it's kind of a remote area from Derbyshire to Highway 9.
Don't use the word Woody when you're talking about her. Sorry. You're having the conversation they're having. Don't use the word Woody. Yeah, she's very rude and a little likes to put holes in people when she doesn't get her way. He does have a half Farrah Fawcett hair. Don't use that word either, Flashman. Well, they said a woody area, but just phrasing, stop it. Say like into the woods, out of the woods. But no, Puddleton. I don't. This guy didn't. I can't speak for that guy. And I'm sorry if you put this guy in a lineup. No, I know you should not judge a book by its cover, but if you put this guy in a lineup, I would not pick him to be one that picked up ladies of the night. I just wouldn't. Not saying, and he didn't. You guys.
I do too.
Yeah, just a moment. Your Honor, may I have this item marked for identification?
I can't wait for Cross.
Your Honor, initially we would take the position that if those 3 photos go in, the entire exhibit should go in.
You're not objecting to the entire file going in?
We are.
Objecting to the entire thing going, we're more fundamentally objecting to it being split up. It's misleading to split it up, Your Honor.
I agree with you. We'll put this up for the record later.
Thank you.
I just want to read
Yes,
this,
sir.
Your Honor.
What? What are you talking about, Carmen? Are you making like green colored frosting or something? I bet you're drinking green beer, aren't you? Got it. I bet you that's right. I got it. It took me a sec. It just took me a sec. Calm down.
Your Honor, we'd like to have the item marked for identification, but the item be received and marked for identification.
Well, before it's marked for identification, because it may not be relevant, they ask you if you recognize it. It doesn't recognize it. You recognize this card holder?
No, sir, I think that what she had was not going to hold this.
Any further?
No, thank you.
You may inquire.
Mr. Dallarosa, how are you, sir? My name is Billy Millis. I'm one of the attorneys representing Ms. Wuornos. Just give me one moment. When this person entered your vehicle, she told you she was a professional prostitute early on in the ride, correct?
Yes.
The entirety of the ride lasted about 10 or 15 minutes.
Apparently.
During that time period, she seemed confused as to I-4, as to the roads, basically. She had some confusion.
She seemed confused at how 11th Street was going to get her to 92 where she could get to the interstate.
And you indicated that this person discussed fees with you.
Pardon me?
She discussed fees with you.
Yes.
She did not use
She didn't, excuse me, she didn't discuss fees. She told me what her fees was. It wasn't discussed.
Okay. When she told you those things, she had already told you she was a professional prostitute.
Yes.
You indicated on direct examination, did not use foul language.
She did not.
Did you understand her to be propositioning you?
When she told me what her fees was, I really didn't, I knew what she was saying, but I didn't really think she was telling me this, that this is what was gonna happen now. As mentioned earlier, I would assume after she said it's now or never, I would have guessed that was, she wanted me to go somewhere with her.
So there was an offer thrown in the air, more or less.
If that's what you want to call it.
She also indicated that she only did straight sexing with a condom.
Yes.
You also testified on direct examination that she showed you cards that she indicated were from customers?
Business cards, yes.
Business cards. Did you look at the cards?
I did not.
Okay. But so there was a folder with cards kind of thing?
Right. If you want me to elaborate on that, when she held them up and they unfolded, the one at eye level caught my eye because it had an outline of a star on it.
Okay.
And she had mentioned police officers and deputies, and that caught my eye.
And she had mentioned that police officers and deputies were among her customers?
Yes, sir.
You also testified on direct examination that you said to her maybe some other time?
Yes.
Throughout this entire ride, you testified on direct examination, she never became angry?
She became angry after I was not receptive of her offer.
Okay.
Her demeanor changed tremendously.
I thought you said on direct examination that she got quiet when you were.
She didn't talk. She was abruptly moving around inside the car, reaching for her purse back and forth. And I don't recall her really ever saying anything. It was just her actions and her movements that she did in the video.
She didn't yell at you.
I was thinking the same thing, Jess. Who gives their business card to a lady of the night? Call me. No. Could you hand these out to your friends? I started a new business and, I need some customers. That's so weird. Carmen, you're not growing your hair out like hers. Stop lying. Yeah, Felltown. She charged $100. Not 20 or 10, whatever you said. It was low. Yeah, that's weird. Nobody gives their business card. Flashman. Flashman. No. You're too not corrupt to say things like that, Flashman.
No, sir, she didn't.
She didn't curse at you?
No, sir, she
She
did
didn't use foul language with you?
No.
She didn't do any of those?
She did not.
And the cards that you mentioned she had pulled out of her purse as well, right? The folder thing,
Yes.
right? And then you left her off, slammed the door, and she left?
Yes.
Nothing further on.
That's there.
Did she also show you pictures of 2 children that she said were hers?
Right after she got in the car and she told me that she was a professional prostitute, her car was broke, she needed some money. She showed me the picture of 2 children and said they were her children, a little boy and a little girl, approximately 6 to 10 years of age. I would say the boy being older.
And she said that she would prefer to have sex in the woods as opposed to a motel.
That's the answer, Colonel.
If there's an objection.
Objection, not the answer.
Thank you. No further questions.
I don't know.
And that any key witness,
No objection. Thank you, sir.
you may be. Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know. All I'm thinking is that either she stole the picture from one of the people that she unalived, or it could be one of those like stock photos that you put in a picture, they put in picture frames. Maybe. I have no idea. And she didn't have a sister, so that's all a lie. I don't, it doesn't matter. She didn't keep the child, so she could not have a boy or a girl. I don't know. But, Sir Frank, I'm sure your business cards were not given out at the end of a night or at the end of a interaction with a lady of the night. I'm just guessing. That's not when you gave your business cards out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I've been sitting here thinking of is maybe that. Because I wouldn't. I mean, I guess, I don't know. She could have taken them from one of her victims because these people wouldn't know. So I don't know. That's so weird. And I never could. This guy was not interested in her taking her to the woody area, right? He was okay not doing any of that.
You get part, sir. Put on the rule right here, not discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. If it please the court, for the record, this is the witness who was substituted for a family member by joint stipulation. Thank you. Ma'am, would you state your name, please, and your address?
My name is Jean Immesberger. My address is 17887 Southeast Federal Highway, Tequesta, Florida.
Where is that, Ms. Immesberger?
It is very close to Jupiter. It borders Jupiter, Florida. Approximately 1 mile from the Palm Beach County line.
All right, and when did you first learn that you might be a witness in this case?
9:30 last night.
Did you know Peter Seims?
Yes, I did.
I'd ask you to look at photograph 5X and ask if you recognize the individual in that photograph.
Note the previous objections, Your Honor, no further argument.
Peter Seims.
I may be off this in evidence today, sir. How long did you know Mr. Seims and in what capacity?
I met the Sims in
Objection,
1987.
relevancy, Your Honor, the vote is gone.
Overruled.
I met the Sims in 1987. In a building I had purchased in 1986, we had an antique store. They came in as a customer and developed a rapport with them through church affiliation.
Did you have occasion to find out in late May, early June of 1990 that he had a trip planned?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury, please, where you expected him to go as a result of that trip?
My understanding of the trip was that he was to visit with the missionary team, which we all supported. He was also to visit his son in Arkansas, and he was to be with his mother in New Jersey, July 4th.
To go north, in fact, you just came north from that area. How close did you live, Mr. Seims?
Approximately 3 miles from his residence.
Okay. To travel north through Daytona Beach and on towards New Jersey, what route would you take? What would be the most direct route?
Objection, Your Honor, relevancy and predicate.
do you know what the most direct route would be?
When I personally drive to New Jersey,
No, that's what they're objecting to.
So Frank, this is the guy that caused the crime scene. I'm still finding little spots here and there of that because I didn't realize that she was everywhere in the house. So yeah, still cleaning it up. And her ear did not heal right. I do not, Flashman. I don't know what's going on. I have to put them in manually and put them in, and no, they're not on. So I have no idea. But yeah, that's the grumpy old man right there that caused that. All right.
You just need to specify what the most direct route,
I-95.
you recognize Exhibit 60. Could you tell the jury, please, what that is?
This was a new car that they had purchased after he had had his retirement.
And they being whom?
Peter Seims. Ursula did not drive.
He was living with his wife at the time, you know him?
Always.
With regard to his traveling in the automobile, were there ever any occasions that he may carry large numbers of Bibles?
Relevancy, Your Honor.
Overruled. If there's an objection.
Objection.
I'm hearing the word up.
I'm just stating the grounds.
Objection.
Just stating the grounds, Judge, yes, objection.
You can answer that, please.
Yes.
Okay.
He did carry a lot of Bibles.
Was that in his business or his work? Why would that be?
The Seims, upon his retirement, it was a desire of their hearts to serve the Lord in a missionary capacity. And the Bibles, whether they were individually handed out or donated by case lots to the Christ is the Answer team, that is why he had the Bibles.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevancy, hearsay, material.
Overruled.
No further question, Your Honor.
Thank you for coming, man. No questions.
Any people information you
She may drive back, Your Honor. Thank you.
made part, man, you're still under the rule that if
Whew. We made it. We made it. Yeah, she wasn't happy to be there, and she found out 9:30 the night before that she had to testify. They said she was substituted for another family member. So yeah, she didn't want to be there. He objects to everything. Like everything. I gotta hang now. Objection. Oops. Flashman, you probably got an ad for Medicare because you were complaining about chest pain. Yeah, they remember they tried that Williams rule thing, which they lost. They brought that up in the first video that we watched. I think with the truck driver dude, but I don't understand. I'm not an attorney, so I don't understand why they brought it up because he already ruled against them, and they've just had running objections to everything basically. But Pedaltown's like, how many things can you use in an appeal? So we have Wednesday, my plan, which I hate to even put this out in the out there in the universe because it likes to just mess with things. My plan is to finish up the state's case. So we have a detective investigator, the one that we've seen 1,000 times, Harzepa, again. He, I believe, is the final witness for the state. But I don't know because there was, well, I don't remember the last witness's name, but there was one witness that we had today that was listed correctly in the description. Yeah, I guess. That's true. I don't know. But there's not 99 more state witnesses. I don't even think they put on a rebuttal. If it is, it's very, very short. But let me ask you this. We're almost to the end of the state's case. If they didn't have these other victims that the state was allowed to bring in, would you still think she was guilty? Did they give you enough evidence with Richard Mallory, who we have not talked about in a long, long time, at the beginning to convict her on that? Or do you think the state needed the 7 other victims that she confessed to? Or 6 other victims, sorry, that she confessed to? I don't know. I don't think they do. Because I was wondering the same thing. The only thing I'll say, Jess, is prosecutors really seem to like to talk. Attorneys in general like to talk. But prosecutors really just seem to want to talk a lot. You've 100% found, whoops. Well, flashback, it's because you're getting old. That's why you need Medicare. You 100% think she'd be found guilty without these other ones. I do too. I think they had enough on Richard Mallory with her, just that. That would have been a very short trial. It'd been over in like a day. This wasn't a long trial. It's just taking us a long time. But yeah, we will, and Flashman, so far, I don't think I've seen anything of maybe there was a couple things last week that we saw, but I can't name them off right at the top of my head, of the judge being maybe a little bit unfair. But I think that's, I don't think he's necessarily been unfair. It may just seem like it because they're objecting so much and he's like overruling them so much. So you don't have a comeback. That's, why you will have one on Wednesday, because you have to think about it for a little while. That's how the old people work. So she was charged with Richard Mallory, which was allegedly her first victim. And then she pled to guilty or no contest to all the other ones. And even though Peter Seims, who they were just talking about, his body was never found, she pled guilty to that too, or no contest. I don't remember exactly how it all came out. But she was sentenced, and sorry, spoiler alert if you don't know, plug your ears. She was sentenced to several unaliving by state punishment, capital punishment. I think I can say that. The judge, I mean, she had to, if they could have brought her back, they would have had to do it again. Yeah, she wasn't fighting the charges. And I don't know how we got here. If she pled guilty or no, maybe she pled not guilty to his. Oh, she was claiming self-defense. She claimed self-defense. I'm trying to figure out if she pled guilty or no contest, how we got to this trial, but maybe I guess on his, she pled not guilty by self-defense. I don't know. Yes. I said plug your ears. Yeah, I would. Okay. That's what I would think. That's what I thought. So odd because she had already confessed before she went to trial. I don't know. She don't know. She doesn't know. I was not alive in 1927. Thank you. I don't even think AARP was a thing in 1927. Stop trying to put stuff out there to take us away from the fact that you got a Medicare ad today, Flash fan, which is so funny. So I would say not guilty to this one, the only one they tried her on, and guilty or no contest to the rest. I will there's a website that has the breakdown of it. I'll look 1958. Unless it is on the punishment phase only. So we'll go into the I know bifurcate your meetings separate, right? Because we'll go into the penalty phase after the verdict. We still have that to watch. Again, spoiler alert. And that I know Florida went back to it. I've heard that word so much lately. It's weird. I had never heard it, and then all of a sudden I've heard it a lot. Bifurcate is not what she did with men. So we still have the punishment phase to go through. And all right, now you hang on. Because now I'm confusing myself. Not that that's hard. Because here it is. This is just for Carmen. Wait, I'm confused. Let me. This has the this site here has the facts, the trial, and the post-trial period. So give me a second because it has the breakdown of how she pled. I'll show it to you in just one second. Okay, so this says that no charges were brought against her for Peter Seims, even though she did confess to it. So she received 6 capital punishment sentences in all. So we've got Richard Mallory, who this is the trial that we're watching right now. That was a 12-0 jury recommendation for unaliving her by the state. And then this was back when, I know they went back to it when Florida, you didn't have to have a unanimous decision on unaliving penalty, even though I don't know that I agree with that. This says for this Charles Carskadden, or how you say his last name, the penalty trial was waived, sentenced to unalive by judge. Not the judge was going to unalive her, but sentenced to capital punishment by judge. Yeah, I think they went back to it, Flashman. I think you had to have I think they had this, and then you had to have a unanimous decision, and then Florida went back to where you didn't have to have a unanimous decision anymore. But this guy we heard about today, this Walter Gino Antonio, was the person that was on the stand first, that the mom that was going through and describing all everything that they had found of his. This was 7-5. To me, that's not decisive enough. Not that it mattered, because she had, this one up here was 12-0 in favor. But the rest were split, and then this one was really split. That's just, yeah. Well, she did go 6 months between the first and next, but then here, 519 to 530 to 6-1, which is crazy fast. And I didn't look it up, Justin. You might, I don't know if you know, because you brought up a good point, and I don't know the difference. You said, was it a spree unaliving? So you have spree unalivers and serial unalivers. Is it the time of between the unalivings that differentiates between a spree and a serial unaliver? I hate these words. It's so dumb. She had enough with one unanimous verdict. Yes. But I mean, yes, she was done. But do you just, that 7-5 one bothers me. Yeah, it could be. Maybe that's why that was that close. Yeah, Flashman, 3 of them, well, 2 of them were a day apart, 531 and 6-1. I mean, I guess the rest doesn't matter, but if it's your family member, I think it's hard for family members of victims of serial unalivers when they only charge one, because your family member, because they charge, like, they only can charge one with the evidence that they have. And then you have to say, okay, is there going to be justice for my loved one, because they're never going to be convicted of unaliving your family member. It's going to be the best case, which I understand completely 100%. It's just, if you're in that another family of a victim, if you're in their shoes, it's it would be hard to have a victim of somebody and then they never get tried for it. And I know 7-5 is the majority. It's just close for that kind of a penalty. Well, they did get I get it. I understand that. And I tell myself that too. the outcome is the same, but at the end of the day, for these people that are victims of serial unalivers or whose family members are victims of serial unalivers and they only are able to bring one victim to trial to try them on, I just feel sorry for them. That's just me. Daryl Brooks would be something. Good heavens, what is going on? My phone's going nuts. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, he would. This was all in a very, very short period of time. Ugh. Yuck. So I don't know, but it surprised me. So see here, it says that you can't see that. It says she confessed to the unaliving of Peter Seims, but no body was found, so she was never tried. So yes, Paul, I get it, and it's still kind of, it's probably splitting hairs. It really is. I'm just thinking. Yes. All the charges, because sometimes on appeal, yes. And that's true. Confessions do get thrown out all the time. I watched a show the other day. No, we don't need lawyer agent. Of a, it was in Texas in the, probably, I can't remember if it was late 60s, early 70s time frame. And I think his last name was like McDuff, because it was just weird, because all I could keep thinking was like Scrooge McDuff, McDuck. He and a friend of his, unalived, they look like they were like 10, although I think they were 15, 16 years old, maybe, boys. And then they had their cousin with them, a female who they did horrible things to. And he was sentenced to death for it. But the Texas prisons were getting overcrowded before they carried out that death sentence. So they were ordered to start releasing prisoners. Now, it was 150 prisoners a day, which is a lot. So they started with your low-level people, like, fraudulent checks or whatever. Nothing like serial unaliving. This guy who is sentenced to capital punishment gets out. And guess what he does? He goes and kidnaps a 22-year-old mother of young kids. I forget. She was married, mother of 3, I think. Does awful things to her. Kidnaps her from a gas station. Then he kidnaps this other woman and absolutely, from what the person that was there that witnessed it said, absolutely tortured her to no end before finally unaliving her. And it took a long time to just get the prosecutor to go back after him again. And they were following the law from what the attorneys were saying. But finally, he was arrested, he was tried, and he was sentenced to unaliving again. And he is now unalived. But what they found was the warden at the time at whatever prison it was at, was basically, if the families had money and he could get money from the families, those were the people that were getting out. So he was either shaking them down or just bribing them to get their loved one out. and it caused massive prison reform in Texas. And I think they built a lot of new prisons or what have you. Don't know how the system is today. He was finally convicted, I think, in 1992. And then I don't remember what year he was unalived in, but finally. So you just never know when something like that's going to happen either. So I don't know. What are you talking? Oh, Chad Dorman. Well, we watched Chad Dorman's hearing where they did get his confession thrown out because all the officer had to do was read the card of the Miranda rights, and he didn't, and he skipped it. He skipped a part. And they threw his confession out. It didn't matter. I think he ended up pleading guilty anyway. And it wouldn't have mattered regardless. But all that guy had to do, we thought his head was going to explode because he was so red when he was testifying. He knew he screwed up. Like, you could just tell his blood pressure was rising. It was bad. But, yeah, we watched that. And it didn't surprise me at all when his confession was thrown out. Just read the card. Because they were like, do you have a card with the Miranda rights on it? Yeah. Miranda warnings on it? Yeah. Why didn't you read it? I don't know. So I get where it kind of feels like some of these things don't make any difference, but I get what Jess is saying. You just never know what's going to happen. Absolutely never know. They still don't know to this day how many people that McDuff dude unalived. In total. And the only reason they were even able to find hopefully his last victim was because he got a toothache in jail, and one of the head, I don't know, he had a higher position in the prison, said, I will put you at the front of the line so you get worked on first if you will tell us, and then you got to tell us where she's at. And he actually did, and they did actually find her remains. And then he said something so sad. She got away from him and she was running and she fell. And he said, if she would have just gotten up and kept running, I would have never caught her. But she just laid there crying. I was like, that is awful. So anyway, on those bright notes, I hope you guys all have a great St. Patrick's Day. Be careful if you go do anything. You probably should have done it over the weekend, but if you are doing anything, be careful and be smart. Uber, Lyft, lots of people that you can get rides from and not, hurt you or anybody else. I'm looking, Flashman. Do you know is anybody going? Squid going? Run, Forrest. All right. The Howell's goat thing is up and going. What if the Uber driver is drunk? Don't get up. Don't get in the car. Don't get in the car. Hey, I'm just happy to know. I thought my dog, of neither of which you saw today, I thought she stole my sunglasses and I was going to have to go look for them in the backyard. But my son texted me and asked me if I left my sunglasses in his truck. And I was like, yes, I did. Thank goodness. Because I did not want to walk outside. And not that I don't want to walk outside. I didn't want to walk in the backyard trying to find sunglasses. All right. So if you guys would stick around and sure, Rue does not steal. No. Yeah, no baby yet. He said Catalina got evicted, so I don't know what that means. But I will be back Wednesday. I've got you set up to go to Squid. So if you can at least just go over there and say hello, I would appreciate it. I'll be back Wednesday, probably at 11 a.m. my time, because I want to get this state's case wrapped up, and I need to be done by 3 o'clock. So, and most of the time I'm in my own way. I know that. So that is my plan, is to be back here Wednesday at 11. We'll get the state's case wrapped up. Not sure about Friday yet. I will let you all know. Got to talk to some people, see what the plans are. And if I don't know, I'll tell y'all later. But have a great St. Patrick's Day. And be careful, be safe. And I will see you guys all Wednesday. Please go tell 10 a.m. Adair time. Please go and tell Squid hello for me, please. Thank you. And I'm going to end the stream now.